If you've ever planted a tree, you'll know that the tree will only produce whatever that tree is supposed to produce. If it's a lemon tree, it'll produce a lemon tree. If it's an apple tree, it'll only produce an apple tree. Earlier today, I was talking to my parents about a persimmon tree. Somebody gave my mom a branch of a persimmon tree. A persimmon is a type of fruit. And they took that branch from that persimmon tree and they stuck it into the mud in their backyard. And guess what? And this is unbelievable, after about a year or so, thinking that the twig was going to die because it looked like it was going to die during winter, there were actually 5 or 6 persimmons after a year from a twig. The persimmon fruit came because of a persimmon tree. In today's gospel, Jesus teaches us how to be a good person. We constantly hear this. What's a good person? I'm not a bad person. We hear lines like that all the time, don't we? A good person becomes a good person because of good actions. When the good person becomes a good person, it's because they do good actions over and 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 over again. But sometimes they might not do those good actions all the time, and they're going to fall, which is understandable for us fallen human beings. But we who are redeemed by God have the grace to become that good person. Good fruit can come because of us. And so, especially to our young people here, for us to grow up to be good, to be a good kid, to be a good husband or wife, or to be a good son or daughter, to be a good student in your programs, we have to have good actions. The same thing is true with a bad person. The person does bad things over and over and over and over, and over time, they define themselves. In a way, you and I are defining our souls for all eternity. And all those actions of good and bad will make you into that good tree that Jesus is calling you to be. Now, this homily is going to be a little shorter because we're going to reflect on one way that we can be good. And one of those ways that we can be good is, as followers of Jesus, our faith in Jesus impels us to take care of other people. Did you not know that you who are a member of the Lord's Catholic Church, the Catholic Church which Jesus founded 2,000 years ago, you are part of this great organization. You are part of more than just a corporation. You're part of the mystical body of Christ. And the mystical body of Christ goes out and takes care of other people because of Jesus' love on the cross. It's because of him that we get up in the morning and go through all the daily hardships of life and all the ups and downs of life. So if your faith is grounding you, then your faith will impel you to good works, just like that tree. We are part of an organization that feeds the most people on the planet. We are the largest organization that we clothe the largest. And of course, this is more about numbers, but this gives you an idea of not just one person helping another person, but the whole body of Christ helping others. And so this is why the early Christians in Rome started hospitals and orphanages to alleviate the sufferings of others. This is why Christianity has called for peace. This is why we as members of the body of Christ are out to help the less fortunate. And here in Vallejo alone, our parish feeds about 1,000 people a week through Mensa Christi. I don't know if you know that. We want to make the city and in this world better, then practice our faith. And so, brothers and sisters, as we hear in today's gospel, a good tree does not bear rotten fruit, nor does a rotten tree bear good fruit. Every tree is known by its own fruit. You want to know if that person is following Christ? Look at their fruits, because it's by their fruits that you'll know them. And finally, dear brothers and sisters, one example I want to bring up is a new Italian saint. His name is Carlo Acutis. He's going to be canonized in April. He is the first saint that is going to be buried in blue jeans and sneakers. This saint loved playing soccer. He loved playing video games. He was just like any other kid, except he put God first. And this saint would say things like, well, I think I'm playing too many video games. I think I'll just reduce my game time, my screen time a little bit more. I'm going to catalog all the Eucharistic miracles in the world, but I'm also going to help other people. And so, young people, that starts in your family, with your parents and guardians. And this finally is an appeal to the fathers here. Studies show, these are not Catholic studies, but studies show that even if the mom were to go to church all the time and the dad doesn't go to church, did you know that the children are less likely to pick that up? But these non-Catholic secular studies have shown that when the dad is involved with the faith life of the children, like 9 out of 10 times, or there's a higher percentage of them catching the faith. By their fruits, you'll know them. And so, dear brothers and sisters, let's look to Carlo Acutis to help bear fruit, to help live our faith in our confirmation programs, in our first communion programs, in our first penance programs. And for those of you preparing for your first communion, did you know what is more important than your first communion? Your second communion, and your third communion, and your fourth communion, and your fifth Holy Communion. And from this Eucharist, that strengthens us to then go help all the other people in the world. It's the Eucharist that gives us that strength. And so, brothers and sisters, I have from the Diocese of Sacramento a prepared text here that I'm going to read. And Sister Melody will help me with this video that we'll put on. This is called the Annual Catholic Appeal. It's one way for us to let our light shine. It's a way for us to bear good fruit. And so, this is the invitation to you, dear brothers and sisters. Today, we join with all the 100 parishes and the many missions in the diocese for the annual 2025 Annual Catholic Appeal. The appeal is dedicated solely to the social mission of the Church here in Northern California and affirms that when we come together as a community, we accomplish far more than we could on our own. Your gift to the appeal, no matter the size, helps thousands of our brothers and sisters in need. Let us reflect for a moment on how the appeal helps our parish to help others.